Hello, everyone, and welcome. I hope that everybody is having an incredible day. I hope that everybody is feeling pumped. I hope that everybody is feeling excited. And of course, we are feeling extremely grateful for the fact that we have another day. Hopefully, you have people that love and care about you. Hopefully, you have some food in your belly. Hopefully, you have a roof over your head, which means that you are extremely blessed if you are in those situations. If you don't know by now, my name is Will Zapata here with Apollo Energy, and I've had the pleasure of helping families transition themselves from old archaic ways of powering their home to using more renewable and secure ways of power, such as solar. This is our Beyond the Solar series, where we're able to not just look into how solar energy can protect ourselves and our family for the future, but we also like to look into how we can be the best form of our defense, the best form of attack to make sure that we are giving ourselves every opportunity to succeed. We're giving ourselves every opportunity to create a solid foundation for the next generation. In our Beyond the Solar series, we take an opportunity to talk about freedom, we talk about fatherhood, we talk about family, we talk about financial independence, fitness, and overall how to be the greatest version of yourself and to be able to add value and help your fellow human being. At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, to be able to help one another, become the best version of ourselves. So with that being said, I have a great topic that I want to talk deeply with you guys about. And basically, it's how do you build a purpose-driven business? Why only focusing on your profit is no longer going to be enough. So again, the whole purpose of what we'll be talking about today is how to create a purpose-driven business and why have it solely be focused on profit is not going to be enough. I want to make it clear. Profits are very important. We're not saying to go out there and not make money in your business. But what we're saying is that once you've been able to hit that plateau or once you've been able to hit that standard, how do we elevate ourselves to be able to create a business that's driven by purpose? How are we able to create something that we never feel like we're working a single day in our lives? And then most importantly, how do we create something that allows us to, create a legacy at the end of the day, something that we can make our children proud, we can make our parents proud, and obviously we can leave our legacy behind on this planet. So with that being said, I want to be able to jump right into it. I'd love to be able to read the comments. If you guys have anything you want to share, any of your own inputs, that would be amazing. And I'd be happy to go through it. So starting off, we mentioned how important it is that cash flow is. If there was one truth like that I've learned over my years in business, if there was one thing that I would want to pass on to my children, if there was one thing that I would want to pass on to my team, 20, 30, 40 years from now is to pay attention to the small details, specifically when it comes to the cash flow. Now, I'm starting off with the cash flow, right? When it comes to creating a purpose-driven business, because at the end of the day, it's the reality. In order for us to be able to have a business, we need to make sure that it's cash flowing positively, that you're able to not only pay your team, make a living, and then you want to make sure that you have a little bit saved either to save for yourself or reinvest it back into the business. One of the things that I wish I would have learned early in my career was paying attention to the cash flow. Because the cash flow is going to be a representation of how your business is doing, right? Sometimes we can get lost in doing many other things. Sometimes if you're me, maybe you can get lost in hoping that things are going to get better, wishing that things will get changed. If you're like myself as well, maybe you're hoping that things will go back to normal. But if there's one thing that we know is that life is forever changing, the only thing that we can be assured of is that there's going to be change. And one of the things that I wish I would have learned sooner, and I want to pass on to my children and my teammates, is to really pay attention to that cash flow, right? At the end of the day, how you're doing financially is going to determine how well your business is doing. Again, we're going to talk about taking your business to the next level where you have some purpose behind it. But the first fundamental thing that we need when it comes to running a business is making sure that we are cash flowing. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're cash flowing without having to, suffer with our integrity. We want to make sure that we're cash flowing without having to do anything that's illegal. We want to make sure that we're cash flowing without making sure that, we're not paying people or that we're cutting, we're looking for shortcuts. This is obviously going to be something that it was not easy. I want to preference it that being able to cash flow your business positively right away is not going to happen. Sometimes you cash flow right away, but then you have your moments where you're not cash flowing, right? Listen, I'm going through it now. I know exactly what it feels like. That's why I tell everyone, always live below your means. Make sure that you're always looking to add value, increase your prices when you need to, and make sure that you're always preparing for a rainy day because we definitely know that this will happen. Now, in my own business, where I ended up realizing that I needed to go deeper than just making profit was that there was a point where, I had made more money than I ever thought possible, right? If just to tell you a little bit about my background, I was born in the Dominican Republic. I come from a immigrant family. English is really our second language. For me, it's my first. I've been raised here my whole life. But for my parents, second language. And my mom worked and still works extremely hard to be able to provide something for us. So, or when she did, right? Now, when I started my business, I was able to get to the point where I was making more money than I thought possible. It doesn't mean that I was ultra wealthy by any means. And obviously being rich is subjective because, to a lot of us, we might be ultra rich, but to a lot of us, we can have everything in the world and still feel empty. And that's kind of how I felt when I was, making a lot more money in my business. I had plenty of money saved up because I've always kept my cost of living low. I was able to pay my bills off early. Like I was renting someplace at a time. I would pay my bill, like my rent a year in advance. I had all my bills paid. I could pay it without having to look at it. I felt like I was doing good in business, but I still felt like there was something missing. I was asking myself, like, what was the point of me doing this? What was the point of me being so responsible? What's the point of me saving this money? Because I know for me, I didn't need a lot to live on. I still don't need a lot to live on. I'm a very simple human being, right? But I still wanted to figure out, like, why am I working so hard in my business if I technically got the money that I think I need? Why am I continuing to push forward? And bam, that's when it hit me. I was very blessed to find out that I was having my first child, which happened to be my daughter. And when I realized that I was having a daughter, all of a sudden everything stopped because I realized that now I had a reason to work, right? Like I had put money away for my daughter, which is great, right? That takes me out of like having a scarce mentality. It takes me out of not being able to survive in emergency, but it gave me what I was looking for, which was legacy. I realized that the reason why I needed to work hard, the reason why I needed to weather the up and down or weather the solar coaster or the entrepreneur coaster, right? Is because I wanted to create a legacy for my children. I am under the firm belief that it is up to me to make sure that I can make my children proud. Every single day that I get up, I think about what are ways that I can be the best version of myself. And what are ways that when my kids look back at me, they're going to be very proud to have me as their father? And when my daughter was born, that's when I realized that I needed to work for her. Right now, I have more children, but I realized that I needed to be able to work for them. I wanted to be able to create something that I could pass on to my children. I wanted to be able to have something that I can show them that no matter the odds, you can create your own life. You are the artist of your world. You are the person, the architect, the alchemist that can decide how you want your life to be. And I'm a big believer that I wanted to be in business so that way I can show my children that even though it was hard, and it is, even though there's times when I wanted to give up, even though there was times where I did not want to keep going, and it probably made sense for me not to keep going, they're the ones that stayed in my heart and in my mind to keep moving forward. They're the ones that pushed me to be able to be the best version of myself. They're the ones that guided me that I wanted to be my light. So then that way, when they look back at me, they can be proud of their father, right? So, the greatest advice that I would want to impart on my children or anyone at all is to spend the time not just looking for something that's going to provide you an income. We all need money to make a living. I totally understand. My advice would be is try to keep your living standard as simple as possible. It doesn't mean it has to be meager. It just means keep it simple. Because what I would love for everybody is to be able to find not a paycheck, but to find a passion. Find something that you wake up, excited about. Find something that you would do even if it was free. Find something that you just love to do because it's maybe what you're good at. Maybe it's something that you're just inherently drawn to. Maybe it's something that fills up your heart. I can't tell you enough how important it is to be able to wake up happy and excited every day. I promise you that if you had all the money in the world, but you woke up depressed, not looking forward to the day, you would not want that kind of lifestyle. That's not what we're looking for. I know that when money seems like it's scarce, that's what we're looking for. I know that based on certain societal pressures, we think that that's what we want. But I promise you that as somebody that has had money to be able to buy whatever material things that they wanted, again, I'm not materialistic, right? I'm not looking to buy $500 million yacht, right? I don't need it, right? Maybe if I had the money and it was, dispensable, sure, but it's just not something that I truly need when I really look inside myself and I figure out the kind of person that I am. All I want, which I think is what most of us want, is we want to be able to provide for our families. We want to be able to make sure that we raise our children happy and healthy. And we want to make sure that we have some kind of purpose or impact, whether it's to our families directly, maybe to our communities around us, or maybe on a bigger scale to your country, and even on a larger scale, maybe to the rest of humanity. So if there was one lesson that I would love to be able to impart, not just on my children, but on anybody that is watching this, is find something that is your passion. It's not going to be easy. I don't know when you'll find it. Look. I think I'm still looking for it, right? You have to do things in steps, but if there's a way that you can find something that you love, I would definitely recommend for you to double and triple down on because the ROI of happiness is so underrated. I think every time we're thinking about ROI, we're always thinking money, 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 money. But I think we severely underestimate the ROI of being happy, of looking forward to the day, of going to bed excited because you want to go ahead and, wake up the next day and continue moving forward. So I hope that you were able to find this, helpful, insightful, impactful, and all the other beautiful words that can probably resonate with you. At the end of this, like if you're listening right now, I would love to ask yourself, what are you building for? Are you chasing an income, which is totally fine? Are you building to create an impact? Are you growing a business? Are you growing a legacy? Is this something that, like for me, I want people to talk about me when, I've been dead for 1,000 years. And the best way that I can do that is by being able to be a service to my fellow human beings. Even if it's just my family. If it's just my family that talk about me 1,000 years after I've been grinded into dust, totally fine. But I want to be able to create something that's going to leave a lasting impact for the people that I love and care for the most. Again, I do hope that everybody has a wonderful rest of their day. Remember that it is our duty to be the best version of ourselves so then we can be in service of our fellow human being. Thank you so much. Stay safe, everyone, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.